Walt Disney is, to this day, one of the biggest influences in cinema, having developed so many new technologies, from animation to live-action films, and both combined. When he put his mind to the development of a new kind of entertainment enterprise, where people could explore new worlds and stories as the protagonists themselves, it's no surprise Walt wanted to create new story devices, or, as we know today, attractions. Disneyland was something unique, never attempted at that scale before. A place where both kids and grown-ups could have fun together, while also learning about the past, the present, and the future. The lands, each with its own theme, would immerse guests in their timeline and story, starting with a nostalgic version of a turn-of-the-century town. After making their way down Main Street, USA, the decision to where to go next was placed on you, the guest. If you were to turn right, an optimistic view of the future would await you in Tomorrowland. One of the first attractions to the left of the Tomorrowland clock was Circarama USA. Walt always wanted to push the cinema experience forward and immerse the viewers in the film even more. He attempted this with the release of Fantasia in 1940, as his original plan was to release the film in the Cinerama format, a wide screen which would need 3 projectors synchronized to achieve a wider frame. Fantasia was also to be shown with Fantasound, a new sound system that would create the illusion that the actual symphony orchestra was playing in the cinema. However, due to the lack of funds and adoption by the theaters, there had to be compromise, and the movie was released in standard sound and format. However, in Disneyland, he had full control over what to produce and how to show it, and that's how Circarama came to be. Sponsored by American Motors, the film A Tour of the West opened alongside the specially made theater. Inside, guests will be surrounded by an innovative 360-degree system of screens, 11 to be more precise, each with its own 16mm projectors. A showing of A Tour of the West would take 12 minutes, so in a day, many people could experience this new and immersive format. It only ran from 1955 to early 1960, when it was replaced by America the Beautiful, yet another Circarama film produced for the Brussels World's Fair in 1958. In 1967, Tomorrowland reopened after a very large reimagining that saw many changes to this side of the park, one of which the Circarama Theater. Disney had developed a new 360 format called Cicle-Vision a few years earlier for Fiat's Italia 61, this time only having 9 screens, but with a much better 35mm video quality. So when Tomorrowland reopened, America the Beautiful was reshot in this format and Cicle-Vision replaced Circarama USA. These films weren't easy to produce. A special camera had to be built to film all the angles, soon to be displayed in the screens around the guests. These evolved alongside the technology in the theaters. The first 16mm cameras were placed on a large platform, but the Cicle-Vision technology was more developed and used mirrors to appear closer together. These would later be placed on helicopters, cars, and others depending on what the film needed. In the following years, new Cicle-Vision theaters and films were built and produced, such as Canada 67 for the Montreal Expo, Magic Carpet Around the World, a short-lived film in Walt Disney World, America the Beautiful replacing Magic Carpet Around the World, O Canada for Epcot Center, and several others. At this time, Disney was embarking on a huge project to bring the magic of their theme parks and resorts to the old continent Europe. EuroDisneyland was to be the best of the best, filled with the latest technology from roller coasters to animatronics. It was chosen that the park would have 5 distinct lands, inspired by the original park, but bigger and more immersive than ever before. Main Street USA welcomes guests into the park, Frontierland takes them to the vast American frontiers, Adventureland goes from the Arabian to the Caribbean landscapes, Fantasyland brings the classic fairy tales to life, but Tomorrowland is nowhere to be found. The Land of Tomorrow has always been the most problematic because the future always arrives and the theme, architecture, and ideas can become old quite quickly. In Paris, Imagineers found a solution to the Tomorrowland problem. Instead of making a land about our future, they made it the future as seen through the eyes of great visionaries of the past, like Jules Verne and A.G. Wells. With this new version of Tomorrowland, the future displayed would never truly arrive. This gave Imagineers a lot of creative freedom. Here, they later brought Space Mountain to the next level, not only in terms of hardware, with state-of-the-art technology, but also by tying it to Jules Verne's From the Earth to the Moon, transforming Space Mountain with a new storyline. However, Space Mountain wasn't an opening day attraction. Discoveryland had Autopia, Star Tours, Captain EO, Orbitron, and finally, Le Visionarium. During the development of EuroDisney, sponsorships came as an important part of the funding for the project. Many attractions had their own sponsors. In Discoveryland, Autopia had Mattel and Star Tours IBM. Le Visionarium didn't escape the magnificent world of trademarks, as Renault, the French car manufacturer, was the one to get it. When entering the land, the large Orbitron with all its moving parts in a Da Vinci style would welcome you. To the left, guests found the one and, at this time, only Le Visionarium. It was a large, circular building, simulating the round theater inside, with a dome and strange electrical antennas pointing to the sky. The architecture in golden colors fit right in the steampunkish architecture of the land, and so did a large, spinning sphere with the name of the attraction. A big poster showing the two main characters was found outside the building, with Le Visionarium, A Trip Through Time written in French. This being the name of the film displayed inside, also known in English as From Time to Time. With these indications of the amazing experience waiting for them inside, guests would get closer to the building, and inside the open area, a large futuristic half-car, half-flying vehicle would be found. This was the first indication the ride was sponsored by Renault. The company designed this real-scale model of the car of the future that, according to them, would be able to read the passengers' thoughts and react accordingly. Renault Reine Stella, its name, hasn't been developed by the company just yet, but we never know what the future will hold, right? Well, for that, guests needed to go into the attraction itself, something that could be done by passing through the doors and into a large room filled with exciting decorations. The ceilings have a maze of transparent tubes and pipes with energy and light effects passing through them. Beneath, there are models representing some of the greatest invention from great visionaries of history, like the flying machine by Leonardo da Vinci, the Nautilus by Jules Verne, the first plane by the Wright brothers, and many others. Shelves filled with books, small items, and objects can be found all around this large room. By exploring, it's easy to realize that many of these act as a teaser of what's to come, like an advertisement for the Conference of the Future in the Paris Universal Exposition of 1900. Some of the pipes in the room lead to a very large screen composed of 24 video screens, displaying a pre-show video. This is where the Timekeeper introduces himself. He's extremely excited, and you get a feel that he's a bit of a mad scientist. Here, he invites everyone to attend the first demonstration of an amazing creation, the first fully working time machine. The Timekeeper then introduces his right-hand robot and the first thing to make its way through time. Le Visionarium was the first Cicle-Vision theater to bring the fact that there are 9 different screens around you into the storyline, as his little robot friend has 9 eyes, each connected to a screen. Her name? Nine-Eye. According to Discoveryland's lead Imagineer, Tim Delaney, many people would go into the room and thought that was the full show, leaving after it ended thinking it wasn't very interesting. The ones that did stay, the majority, were in for a journey of a lifetime. Soon after, doors open with steam effects. Inside, a large circular room with several rows, soon to be filled with guests, comes into view. 9 large screens cover all 360 degrees of the room, each with speakers behind him that combined with others above guests truly immersed them like never before in a Cicle-Vision theater. In the side opposite to the entrance, we see the Timekeeper in robot form. This is an amazing animatronic with fluent movements and incredible expression. In EuroDisney, the show was nearly all in French, but the original idea was always to bring none other than Robin Williams to voice the robotic creator, this being the reason behind all the similarities between the two. Unfortunately, after a table read in French, it became apparent that his French wasn't nearly good enough, so the role was given to French actor Michel Leeb. Robin Williams would later return to play the Timekeeper in the Magic Kingdom, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. To his side, the invention we are all here to see. However, not everything is going as it should, and some adjustments are being made. With the lights going down, Nine-Eye appears from the machine. She's a robot that floats in the air with the help of a jet that ejects a perfect stream of smoke. Afraid that the machine isn't working as it should, she expresses her worries, but the Timekeeper ignores her, and with the help of a laser cannon, he dematerializes her and she pops up inside the machine. After clicking some buttons, the Timekeeper sends Nine-Eye back in time, but when is unknown. Receiving no signal from Nine-Eye for a moment is worrisome, but it soon picks up and she slowly opens her eyes, soon realizing the Timekeeper sent her to the Cretaceous period. A T-Rex suddenly appears right in front of her and tries to get a metallic bite, but our robot friend escapes by flying away and is soon transported to a safer time, something like 12,000 years in the past during an ice age, which starts to freeze her boards. Begging him to once again send her somewhere else, we move through time into the 1450s during a battle between the Scottish and English armies. Thinking Nine-Eye is a strange new war invention, they strike one of her eyes, which shuts down for a moment. Fleeing the battle, Timekeeper sends her to Florence in 1503 during the Renaissance. Here, she spots Mona Lisa and follows her into Da Vinci's workshop, including the flying machine we saw in the pre-show. Da Vinci notices Nine-Eye and with amazement sketches the machine. Afraid of the possible consequences from interacting with such an historical figure, Timekeeper sends her to 1763, to the middle of a concert attended by King Louis XV and the royal court. A blindfolded boy appears to be playing the piano, this being Mozart himself at age 7. He removes his blindfold and immediately draws all attention to Nine-Eye, which is rapidly removed and sent to another time. Now better controlling the time machine, Timekeeper is finally able to see what he wanted to see, some of his favorite visionaries of all time, Jules Verne and A.G. Wells. Nine-Eye is in front of the Palais des Sciences Techniques of the Paris Universal Exhibition, exactly when and where both would meet each other. She spots Mr. Wells, played by British actor Jeremy Irons, and then Jules Verne, played by French actor Michel Piccoli, one of the greatest French actors of his generation. By sneaking on them, Nine-Eye transmits that their vision of the future is very different, and Jules Verne criticizes Wells' work, stating it's more imagination than scientific, and pointing out that the Time Explorer machine is impossible, to which Wells responds with, "This might be improbable, but believe me, it is not impossible." Verne then asks if he has ever traveled through time, testing him, granting the response, "I have traveled through time as often as you have traveled from the Earth to the Moon." Wells realizes he's late for a presentation and says his goodbyes. Nine-Eye, not being able to contain herself with Verne denying the possibility of time travel, approaches him and, filled with surprise, he grabs a robot to examine her. With this, the Timekeeper decides to bring her back to present time, but by doing so, brings Jules with her until they both materialize in the machine in front of the audience. In our present and his future, Jules Verne is amazed and begs the Timekeeper to allow him to discover this new world. After thinking, the robotic creator decides he shall give him 10 minutes to go around the world under the supervision of Nine before sending him back to his own time. The journey begins with a near accident where Nine and Vern find themselves in a dark tunnel where a TGV train is quickly approaching. Timekeeper narrowly saves them, and Jules can be seen on the nose of the train going at many kilometers an hour. Then he sends them to Paris, the Champs-Élysées to be more precise, where Jules is nearly ran over by a Renault taxi. Amazed by the cars, he decides to drive one, and so the next destination is a racetrack where the inventor is at the wheel of a brand new Formula 1 car, a Renault car. After all this excitement, the Timekeeper sends the beloved author to a submarine where he realizes that his novel 20 Leagues Under the Sea has become a reality in the future. After exploring the land and the sea, there's nowhere to go but the air. For that, they're transferred to a hot air balloon above Moscow. Next up, Airport Charles de Gaulle, at the foot of the Great Concorde. But that's not what they're taking, as Jules boards a helicopter to fly over incredible landscapes, such as Mont Saint-Michel, the Neuschwanstein Castle, the Alps, and many others. However, the highlight is by far what comes next. Knowing the love for space and the moon, the Timekeeper sends them to the International Space Station, where Jules sees that his novel From the Earth to the Moon has also become a reality in this day and age. After what was the journey of a lifetime, they are once again sent back to 1900. Here, while Jules Verne is saying goodbye to Nine, H.G. Wells appears and surprised says, "I don't believe what I'm seeing. This is impossible." To which Verne replies, "Improbable, impossible, no," before he pulls him excitedly. Seeing the machine worked perfectly, the Timekeeper asks around to see who wants to give it a shot and teleports a group of guests into the machine before sending them to the year 2189 in a futuristic Paris filled with flying vehicles. Then, suddenly, the journey is interrupted by a different vehicle, yet another time machine, and behind the wheel, both H.G. Wells and Jules Verne themselves, as the model they were discussing earlier became a reality. With this demonstration, and happy with the results, Timekeeper thanks the audience for attending, and the show comes to an end, with him saying, "Our journey is ending, time suspends its flight, hurry up to join your future." One of the highlights of the whole attraction was by far the soundtrack, written by Bruce Broughton, the same composer behind Magiques, Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, and many other rides and films. Very happy with the final result, Eisner decided that the show should make its way to other Disney parks, which it did so in Tomorrowland at the Magic Kingdom and Tokyo Disneyland in the following years. Each had their own small differences, with a few different scenes, an entirely English dub, and a different look for the Timekeeper. In Paris, headphones were offered alongside the rows, where each guest could choose another language to hear the full show in, with English, Italian, Dutch, Spanish, and German. Unfortunately, the American version of the audio was never present in Paris. As time passed, the attraction remained the same. Tokyo's closed its doors in 2002 and was replaced by Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters. Magic Kingdom's closed down in 2006 and was replaced by Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. Disneyland Paris's, the most complete of the three, closed down just 2 years after the Japanese one in 2004. Also replaced by Buzz Lightyear Laser Blast, which saw a proposal to be built in the second park, Walt Disney Studios, but was deemed too expensive. To this day, some nods to the Visionary remain in the park. As you ride the EuroDisneyland Railroad and reach Discoveryland, the music playing is exactly the one that used to be found in the attraction. As you ride Buzz Lightyear, shortly after the start of the ride, the old 9-Eye animatronic can be seen behind scenery, and in Walt's An American Restaurant in the Discoveryland room, both the poster for the Conference of the Future and Da Vinci's sketch of 9-Eye are present. From 1995 to 2004, guests were able to experience both stories discussed by the great two visionaries H.G. Wells and Jules Verne, traveling through time in Le Visionarium and going to the moon in Space Mountain de la Terre à la Lune. Unfortunately, out of all the lands in Disneyland Paris, Discoveryland was the one to change the most since the early days of the park, and today is much less than what it used to be. Perhaps one day we will see the return of the moon in Space Mountain, and somehow a return of the Timekeeper. As H.G. Wells said it best, in the future, anything is possible. Here's a big thanks to Cronique Disney for their amazing overview of the attraction, Festival Disney for the outstanding video of the attraction, and Alan from CafeFantasia for all his help by gathering information over the years. Make sure to check them out in the description alongside all the sources and videos used. With that, our journey through time comes to an end, but yours is just beginning. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. And now, as always, thank you for watching, and that's a wrap.